Yes, students, hello. How are you? I hope you all are doing good. And you know that today we are here again for our English class, and a very warm welcome to you all. And we are going to complete this chapter, The Making of a Scientist. Now see, we had completed a lot of part. हमने बहुत सारे ऐसे projects पढ़ लिए, ऐसे success we can say achievements हमने देख लिए किसके Richard E. Bright के. And we were on a very important section very close to the end of the chapter, so we are going to take it from here. You can see the darkened lines, तो यहाँ से हम इसको दोबारा लेंगे. We have already done this little part in yesterday's class, but to understand it in a much better way, तो थोड़ा सा पीछे से ले लेते हैं हम वापस, तो थोड़ा अच्छा लगता है. ठीक है. So see, a year and a half year later, during his junior years, Ebright got the idea for his new theory about cell life. Now it came while he was looking at the X-ray photos of a chemical structure of a hormone. Now see, एक year and a half later की बात है. During his junior years, Ebright got an idea. He got an idea for his new theory about cell life. And he say that it came, ये उनके दिमाग में आया कब? While he was looking at X-ray photos of the chemical structure of a hormone. While he was looking at the X-ray photos, वो X-ray photos को देख रहे थे of the chemical structures of a hormone. ठीक है. When he saw those photos, Ebright didn't shout Eureka or even I have got it. But he believed that along with his findings about insect hormones, the photos gave him the answer to one of the biology puzzles, how the cell can read the blueprint of its DNA. DNA is a substance in the nucleus of a cell that controls heredity. It determines the form and function of a cell. Thus, DNA is the blueprint of life. Now देखो इनका यहाँ पे क्या कहना है. They wanted to say that when he saw those photos, जब उन्होंने इन फोटोज को देखा, Ebright didn't shout. Ebright ने उन फोटोज को देखा तो देखते चिल्लाया नहीं, oh wow great what I have got it नहीं. He just believed that along with his findings about insect hormones, ये फोटोज ने उन्हें एक आंसर दिया to the biggest biology puzzle. What is the biggest biology puzzle? That is how the cell can read the blueprint of its DNA. अब cell से DNA का blueprint कैसे देख सकते हो? DNA, you know what? DNA is a substance in the nucleus of a cell जो कहीं ना कहीं हमारी heredity को control करता है. इसीलिए sometimes you know कि DNA test किस लिए करवाया जाता है. Many a times DNA test is used as a proof that you belong to who, तो उसके लिए. So we can say कि DNA का स्ट्रक्चर जब आप देखते हो तो उसके अंदर जो न्यूक्लियस ऑफ द सेल होता है ना, उसके बारे में पढ़ते हैं. एंड दैट न्यूक्लियस ऑफ द सेल पर्टिकुलरली कंट्रोल्स द हेरिडिटी. इट डिटरमाइंस द फॉर्म एंड फंक्शंस ऑफ सेल. ये डीएनए ही डिटरमाइन करता है द फॉर्म एंड द फंक्शन ऑफ द सेल. एंड दस डीएनए इज द ब्लूप्रिंट फॉर लाइफ. तो डीएनए क्या है? इट्स द ब्लूप्रिंट फॉर लाइफ. ये लाइफ का ब्लूप्रिंट है. नाउ सी, हमें भी पता है. नाउ समटाइम्स ऐसा पूछा जाता है, कई बार एक क्वेश्चन रेज हो जाता है दैट व्हाट इज द ब्लूप्रिंट ऑफ द लाइफ फॉर द लाइफ. तो आंसर इज डीएनए. मेनी ऑफ अस नो अबाउट इट. Ebright and his college roommate James R. Wong, they worked all the night drawing pictures and constructing plastic models of molecules to show how it could happen. Together, they later wrote the paper that explained the theory. Now, Ebright और उनके college roommates जेम्स आर वोंग, इन्होंने क्या किया? दे वर्कड ऑल द नाइट. उस पूरी रात उन्होंने काम किया ड्राइंग पिक्चर्स, वो पिक्चर्स ड्रॉ करते हुए, एंड कंस्ट्रक्टिंग प्लास्टिक मॉडल्स ऑफ मॉलिक्यूल्स. और वो प्लास्टिक मॉडल्स ऑफ मॉलिक्यूल्स को क्या किया? उन्होंने कंस्ट्रक्ट किया टू शो हाउ इट कुड हैपन. ये शो करते हुए that how these things could happen. And together they later wrote the paper that explained the theory. And once they got the answers of that, उन्होंने क्या किया? Later they just wrote the theories. उन्होंने क्या किया? उन्होंने उसको उसके बारे में, उस पूरी जो थी explaining the theory, उन्होंने इसके बारे में लिखा. Surprising, no one who knew him, Richard Ebright graduated from Harvard with highest honors. Second in his class of 1510, Ebright went to become the graduate student research at Harvard Medical School. There he began doing experiments to test his theory. Now देखो, सरप्राइजिंग, इस चीज के लिए सरप्राइज होते हुए उन्होंने क्या कहा? सरप्राइजिंग दैट नो वन who knew, कोई नहीं जानता था, who knew him, जो उसे जानते हो. रिचर्ड ईब्राइट ग्रेजुएटेड थे फ्रॉम हार्वर्ड्स और बहुत ग्रेट हाईएस्ट ऑनर्स थे उनके पास में. ही वॉज सेकेंड इन हिज क्लास. और उनकी क्लास में कितने स्टूडेंट्स है? 1510 में से वो सेकेंड थे. Ebright went on to become a graduate student researcher at the Harvard Medical School. And there उन्होंने begin किया अपना experiment to test his theory. ये जो theory इन्होंने निकाली थी इसकी testing इन्होंने experiments वहीं start किए. If they prove correct, अगर उनकी theory correct prove हो गई, it will be a big step towards understanding the processes of life. They say अगर ऐसा हुआ तो it's going to be a big step. ये एक बहुत big step हो जाएगा towards understanding the processes of life. It might also lead to the new ideas for preventing some types of cancer and other diseases. And it ultimately is going to do what? It might also lead to the new ideas. नए ideas को lead करेगा ये for preventing some types of cancers and other diseases. And all of this is possible because Ebright की जो scientific curiosity थी उसके कारण. ये क्यों हुआ? बिकॉज ईब्राइट वॉज ऑलवेज क्यूरियस. ईब्राइट हमेशा बहुत ही क्यूरियस स्टूडेंट थे और उनको साइंस से रिलेटेड क्यूरियोसिटीज उनकी कभी खत्म नहीं होती थी. ही वॉज दैट क्यूरियस कि उन्हें लगता था ये क्यों हुआ पता करो, ये क्यों हुआ पता करो, एक्सपेरिमेंट, डू स्टडी, डू रिसर्च, बट फाइंड आउट. तो because of that scientific curiosity, his high school research into the purpose of the spots on the monarch pupa eventually lead him to the theory about the cell life. नाउ उनकी ये जो हाई स्कूल रिसर्च थी जिसमें उन्होंने ये पर्पस फाइंड आउट किया था कि मोनार्क प्यूपा की बॉडी पे वो जो 10 स्पॉट्स थे, गोल्डन येलो स्पॉट्स, उनका क्या पर्पस था, उसको फाइंड आउट करते करते इवेंचुअली दैट रिसर्च ऑफ हिज लेड हिम टू द थ्योरी अबाउट सेल लाइफ. उससे वो कहां पहुंच गए? थ्योरी ऑफ द सेल लाइफ पे पहुंच गए. ठीक है. Now, Richard E. Bright has been interested in science since he first began collecting butterflies, but not so deeply that he hasn't time for other interest. Ebright also became a champion debater and a public speaker and a good canoeist and all around outdoor person. He is also an expert photographer, particularly of nature and exhibits, scientific exhibits. नाउ सी, अब यहाँ पे क्या हुआ? रिचर्ड ई ब्राइट हमेशा से इंटरेस्टेड थे साइंस में. हम कह सकते हैं ही वॉज इंटरेस्टेड इन साइंस सिंस कब से? ही बिगेन कलेक्टिंग बटरफ्लाइज. बट इतना डीपली नहीं थे वो. अभी तो ही हैज गॉन सो डीप कि पता नहीं किस किस लेवल की रिसर्च कर रहे हैं. इतना डीप नहीं थे कि उनके पास कुछ और करने में या किसी और इंटरेस्ट के लिए कोई टाइम ही ना हो. ही वॉज हाईली इंटरेस्टेड इन मेनी अदर थिंग्स ऑल्सो. Ebright क्या हुआ? He became a champion debater. वो क्या बन गए? Champion debater and public speaker. और वो एक public speaker भी बन गया. He was a very good canoeist, a kind of racer sort of person. ठीक है. And all around he was a very good outdoor person. He is also an expert photographer. वो बहुत expert photographer भी रहे हैं, particularly of the nature and scientific exhibit. Particularly of nature, and he was of the scientific exhibits. And in high school, Richard E. Bright was a straight A student. Now, because learning was easy, he turned a lot of his energy towards who? He turned a lot of his energy towards the debating and model United Nations Club. He also found someone to admire. Richard A. Wither, his social studies teacher and advisor to both clubs. Mr. Wehrer was the perfect person for me. He opened my mind to new ideas, Ebright said. Now, when in high school, Richard Ebright was a straight A student because learning was very easy. Now, he turned a lot of energy towards debating and model United clubs, nation clubs जो थे उनके. वहां पे he found someone to admire. वहां उन्हें ऐसा कोई मिला जिसे वो बहुत admire करने लगे. He found someone that he can admire. Who was he? Richard A. Wehrer. उनका नाम भी रिचर्ड था. Richard A. Wehrer उनके social studies teacher थे and he was also an advisor to both clubs. Mr. Wehrer एक perfect person थे for me. He says, कौन कह रहे हैं? हमारे Ebright कह रहे हैं. And he says he opened my mind to new ideas. Ebright said. Ebright ने बोला Mr. Wehrer is the one person जिन्होंने मेरे mind को open up किया to the new ideas. Now, Richard would always give the extra effort. Mr. Wehrer said, what pleased me was here was this person who put in 3 or 4 hours at night doing debate research beside doing all his research with butterflies and his other interests. Now उन्होंने बोला रिचर्ड जो है would always give an extra effort, हमेशा extra effort देते थे. ये किन्होंने बोला? मिस्टर वेरर ने कहा. And he says सबसे ज्यादा मुझे जो चीज प्लीज करती है वो ये है that here was this person जो क्या करता था, he always used to put in 3 or 4 hours at night doing the debate research besides doing all his research with butterflies and other interest. मतलब कहने का मतलब the person scientific research के अलावा किसमें टाइम दे रहा है? he is giving his time to the debate research, and this is the one thing that attracts me the most, that pleased me the most. Now Richard was competitive, Mr. Werer continued, but not in a bad sense. उन्होंने बोला not in a bad sense, but he says that yes, Richard was a very competitive person. Richard क्या है? He's a very competitive person. And उन्होंने साथ साथ में explain एक चीज और की. उन्होंने बोला that Richard wasn't interested in winning or for the winning sake or for just to win the prize. He was not at all doing these research works कि मेरा बहुत बड़ा नाम हो जाए, I should become famous, I should win lots of prizes. For the sake of prizes, was he doing these research works? No. We can say that जब आप कुछ बहुत बड़े बनते हो, you achieve something great. Money is naturally a motivation, but money is not everything that you want for. You are working for. It's something other than this. कुछ motivations अलग भी होते हैं. So see, Richard was competitive, and Mr. Werer continued, but not in a bad sense. He explained, उन्होंने क्या कहा? Richard wasn't interested in winning for winning's sake or winning to get a prize. Rather, he was winning because he wanted to do the best job he could. उन्होंने ऐसा क्यों किया? Because he actually wanted to do the best job जो वो कर सकते थे. For the right reasons, he wants to be the best. And for the right reason, he wants to be the best. वो क्या करना चाहते थे? He wants to be the best. उन्होंने बोला that naturally the things are a motivation, but still I do all these things because I want to be the best. To be the best, to be on the top is the thing that matters. And that is one of the ingredients in making of a scientist. And he says, yes, to be the best, agar aapke andar ye ek passion hai na, that you want to be the best, that is going to be the biggest thing, that is going to be the main ingredient in the making of a scientist. Start with a first rate mind. First rate mind से शुरू करो. Add curiosity to it. उसमें कुछ curiosity add करो. And mix in the will to win for the right reason. और उसमें क्या mix कर दो? Will to win. So the 3 ingredients we can say. 3 भी नहीं. We can say that yes. Firstly, start with a first rate mind. Secondly, उसके अंदर कुछ curiosity add करो. थर्ड, उसके अंदर आप विल टू विन को ऐड कर दो. विल टू विन फॉर द राइट रीजंस. खाली ये भी नहीं कि जुनून है जीतने का, उसके पीछे रीजंस भले गलत हो, नहीं, द रीजन शुड आल्सो बी राइट. सो अगर ये चीजें हैं ना आपके पास में, दैट डेफिनेटली यू आर गोइंग टू डू व्हाट? आप डेफिनेटली यू आर गोइंग टू बी अ साइंटिस्ट. Ebright has these qualities. Ebright के पास में ये qualities थी. And from the time the book, The Travel of Monarch 10, opened the world of science to him, Richard Ebright has never lost his scientific curiosity. And जब from that time, जब ये Travel of Monarch 10 book उनके पास में आई थी, it opened the world of science to him. उसके बाद से we can say that Richard Ebright has never lost his scientific curiosity. उन्होंने कभी भी अपनी साइंटिफिक क्यूरियोसिटी को लूज नहीं किया. हमेशा से उनकी एक क्यूरियोसिटी, इट केप्ट ऑन डेवलपिंग एंड डेवलपिंग, एंड इट केप्ट ऑन गेटिंग हिम answer to each and every question, either by research study or either by experiments. Robert W. Peterson wrote something very nice. बहुत अच्छे से उन्होंने इसके आंसर्स दिए हैं. ठीक है. So this was, we can say that right, yes, Ebright जो था, he just exhibited his interest, he exhibited his passion through different kinds of experiments, through different kind of studies, and yes, we can say that he possesses the 3 main qualities, and with that 3 qualities, he was really made a scientist, and the kind of scientist he made was really very amazing one. He undertook many projects and experiments, and he worked on, we can say, starting with the butterflies, he went up to such big experiments showing the life processes that was there. So this was ultimately, we can say, very nice ones.
Yes, so see, Now, after knowing about all these things, after knowing that who Ebright was, what were his experiments, and what he actually wanted to do, what he actually do not want to do, what are his various achievements, and what was the zeal, and what were the qualities that goes into a making of a scientist, we got to know about all these things. तो ये सारी चीजें करने के बाद में, ये सब चीजें पता चलने के बाद में, we are up to some questions. ठीक है? Those questions are going to make this chapter more clear to you. Now see. ये जो कुछ क्वेश्चंस है, दे कैन नॉट बी अ क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम दिस बुक, मे बी नॉट, ठीक है, एंड मे बी नॉट. सो वी कैन जस्ट सी कि हमारे पास यहाँ पे कुछ क्वेश्चंस थे इन द बिगिनिंग. वी कैन से हम यहाँ पे स्क्रॉल अप करके चलते हैं, जस्ट सी जो हमारा पार्ट 1 था. यू कैन सी इट ऑन द स्क्रीन. ठीक है, नाउ सी first question is, how did a book became a turning point in Richard E. Bright's life? I am going to answer it, you just have to listen to it. Okay, so see, the book The Travels of Monarch 10 opened the world of science for Richard. After reading it, we can say that he became interested in tracking the migration of butterflies. This interest led to his other projects and experiments. Now you can see कि क्या हुआ है यहाँ पे. ये जो book थी, The Travel of Monarch 10, it opened the world of science for Richard. And after reading it, he became interested in tracking the migration of butterflies. कि ये butterflies where to where they migrate. And this interest led him to his other projects and experiments. Now, after that, a question comes, that is yet another question, that how did his mother help him? Yes, Richard's mother proved to be a great help to him. She took him on the trips and brought scientific equipments for him, and she spent all her time in setting up challenge for him. This helped him to learn a lot, and she presented him the book, The Travel of Monarch 10, we can say, and the book changed Richard's life forever. उससे क्या हुआ, रिचर्ड की लाइफ वॉज चेंज्ड फॉर एवर. ठीक है, सो दिस वॉज येट अनदर थिंग. नाउ फर्दर आप ये देख सकते हो कि उसके बाद देखो, नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज दैट व्हाट लेसन डज ईब्राइट लर्न व्हेन ही डज नॉट विन एनीथिंग एट अ साइंस फेयर. नाउ दिस वाज द क्वेश्चन व्हिच वाज रेज्ड बिफोर सेकेंड पार्ट. हमने सेकेंड पार्ट कंप्लीट किया है. Now this is another very interesting question. It is said that क्या लेसन मिला, because it's not important in whatever you take up, जो भी आप करना चाहो आप हमेशा उसमें जीतोगे. जरूरी नहीं होता that you always win. Sometimes you lose also. So Ebright also does not win anything at a science fair now, but every success and every failure is going to teach you something. It's something that you are going to learn from that experience. Now what Ebright learned from that, what lesson he got? Ebright exhibited slides of forest frog tissues at the science fair, and he did not get any prize. But he learned a very important lesson at that point, and he says that science is not just about display. It's about project, it's about experiments, and he began conducting experiments from that day onwards, because he says that those who have won, they have experimented it. They have practically presented the thing they wanted to present, not just a very decorative display like me. So from that day, he learned a lesson that science is all about presentation, all about experiments. It's not just a neat and clean display. So from that day onwards, he started doing what? He started taking up his projects, और उन्होंने उस दिन से experiments conduct करना शुरू किया. Next question, what experiments and project does he then undertake? क्या projects थे, क्या experiments थे that he undertook from that day? He undertook many projects and experiments. We say that he worked on viceroy butterflies to show that they copied the monarch butterflies. He studies that the bright spots on the monarch pupa and discovered a new hormone. And he also find how cell reads their DNA, and that is he did the theory about the life process. तो ये उनके कुछ experiments थे. What are the qualities that go in for making of a scientist? Now in the making of a scientist, the theories, जो qualities जो जाती है, they are that firstly, it's the first rate mind. Secondly, the presence of curiosity. And last but not the least, it is the will to do the best and win. If you have a first rate mind, if you have presence of curiosity in you, then only एक scientist में हमेशा curiosity होनी चाहिए. आज मैंने अगर सोच लिया बस ठीक है जो है ठीक है क्या करना है, that means जब मुझे कुछ आगे करने की इच्छा ही नहीं है, then how I am going to discover and how I am going to have new experiences, नहीं होगा. So you need to have a curiosity. Last but not the least, it is the will to do the best and win that ultimately is going to टेक यू टू वेयर, आपको कहाँ लेके जाएगी ये आपकी चीज, आपको आपकी नए सक्सेस जर्नी पे लेके जाएंगे एंड इज गोइंग टू मेक यू अ साइंटिस्ट. नेक्स्ट इज सी, these were the few questions, ये kind of short questions थे, knowledge based questions थे on the basis of this chapter. Now moving on to the next part जहाँ पे थोड़े से lengthy and थोड़े से complicated parts आते हैं. So see, how can one, now think about it वाला part है, how can one become a scientist, an economist, a historian? Does it simply involve reading many books on a subject, or does it involve observing, thinking, and doing experiments? Reading many books on a subject is not enough. ये किताबें लेके बैठ जाओ, पढ़ते रहो, उससे कुछ होगा नहीं. One must always develop a skill of observation, thinking skills, and one needs to be experimental. आपको experiments need to be done. One need to have curiosity to explore and find new things, and above all, one must work hard and not get upset by the failure. This is one thing that you are going to be successful in whichever field you want. Either you want to become a scientist, you want to become an economist, or you want to be a historian. Now you must have read about cells and DNAs in your science books. Discuss Richard E. Bright's work in the light of what you have studied. If you get an opportunity to work with Richard E. Bright, like Richard E. Bright on projects and experiment, which field would you like to work on and why? Now this can be a thing which is answer all. ठीक है, self to do question है, you can answer it and all the responses are accepted if they are right. Now, DNA, we can say that yes, it carries the blueprint of the life and heredity, and they pass information from one generation to the other. If I get an opportunity to work like Richard E. Bright, I would choose to study about the diseases. Definitely, I'm telling you my perspective. By studying the DNA, I may find ways and means to cure many illness. डीएनए की स्टडी करने के बाद में एक क्या एक्सपेरिमेंट मैं करना चाहूंगी, आई एम गोइंग टू स्टडी अबाउट डिजीजेस, and by studying the DNA, I am going to find many ways and means to cure many illness, cure many diseases that reside in human body, that the human being suffer of. This way we can say that it was really बहुत interesting chapter था. So the lesson that we get from this chapter is that never lose. ठीक है, कभी भी किसी चीज के लिए होप्स को लूज नहीं करना है. एंड वन थिंग इज जो आपको अपने दिमाग में रखना है वो ये है दैट यू नीड टू हैव अ फर्स्ट रेट माइंड, you need to have a curiosity always to know new things, and you are not in a need to get upset by any kind of failure, and you only have to keep in your mind that you have to possess a will to do the best and to win. And this, for this thing you need a keen skill of observation, you need a thinking mind, and you need to be experimental. That is, experiments need to be done, and one needs to have a curiosity to explore and find new things, and above all, one must always work hard and never get upset by the failures. Then you can see that you are going to be successful in whichever field you opt. Okay, so this was the making of a scientist, and Richard E. Bright, through his so many projects and experiments, he really became a great scientist. And we have found this part of him जो हमने यहाँ पे पढ़ा, present given to us, or we can say that provided to us by Robert W. Peterson, was an amazing account of Richard E. Bright's life, and we found it interesting, and हमने उससे बहुत कुछ सीखा. And the lesson that we have got to learn from this chapter, we are going to really imbibe it, right, and be successful in our own fields. Okay, so this is all we can say for the chapter. Now in tomorrow's class we are going to start with another new chapter, so you all just be present over here. Till then, go through the chapter, and if there are any doubts we can clear it on one-to-one basis. Okay, this is all. See you and take care.